a.m. on Thursday, January 15th, 2026. We're holding this meeting in the auditorium of the J.W. Cameron Center, 95 Mahoney Street. Live stream viewing is available via YouTube. Please see the meeting notice for details of how to get there. And for technical assistance using Zoom chat, the Zoom chat function, text the staff at 808-286-7697, 286-7697, or you can email staff at llcc@hawaii.gov. So on behalf of the commission and its staff, welcome to all
for as mentioned, my name is Lance De Silva. I'm the Division of Forestry and Wildlife Manager. I manage all forest reserve. Anything that goes on the forest reserve, emergency services, that's part of my responsibility. Our application is the East Mali Land Acquisition Project. And a big concept of this, to our project, is the Malka Tukai management. I'll try to keep this as short as I can, just because I know we already on schedule and try to keep everybody moving. Okay. So I'm sure most of you guys are familiar with the Division of Forestry and Wildlife. Just quickly cover it again, just in case people don't know. So Division of Forestry and Wildlife, we're part of the Department of Land and Natural Resources. We're basically made up of 4 different programs. So forestry program, our wildlife program, native ecosystems, and trails and access program. And we manage various projects, so watershed protection management, biodiversity, native ecosystems, talked about snails with the group earlier, talked about native snails. That's what those guys do. Endangered species, habitat restoration, invasive species. So a big program of my forestry program is invasive species management. So we do everything from rapid rosette of death to pampas grass to fountain grass. So we have crews that just specifically
You should be, just make sure I will always see you are screen sharing and then everyone on Zoom in here can see you.
Okay,
All right,
I'll people don't see it.
got it. Yeah, all right.
Hey, back at it. Three. So this picture, we like to show it because it's a really dramatic side by side. And what it also shows, besides the closed, so this area now, this is 2026. It's a lot of the area is closed canopy. So we got koa trees that are probably 20 diameter at base, and they're 20, 30 feet tall. Closed canopy in some areas. But it's a really dramatic change. And we like to show it also because a lot of times we get questioned, you guys have so much property, you guys are acquiring so many places, do you guys have enough resources to manage? And it's a fair question, because, we try to ask ourselves that internally. This is a perfect example of how our resources can complete projects or can have projects that are successful. And fortunately for us, we are getting more staff. So I really want to say that because I give other presentations and I go to other meetings, the first thing people ask is, why you guys don't have enough people? Granted, we could use another 100 people in our district, but for the research that we are getting, it allows us to do stuff like this right here. And that's not only koa trees. I would say a majority of that is koa trees, but there's ali in there, there's people, there's all understory species as well. Really dramatic. I wish there's a way that everybody could literally get up there and see it for themselves, because it's a pretty neat place to visit. Okay, so tying in this project, our concept of Mount Katumakai, the Ahupua'a system, how do we take care of the upper lands down to the coastlines. For majority of my time here, I've been here 23 years with DOFA on Maui. And a lot of times we've been working in the past, everything's been uplands, right? We protect upland, we put fences in, we get animals out, ungulates out. We weed it, we put back natives, and we protect what we can protect as far as watershed goes. But our challenge has always been, how do we carry it out down to the coastline? And a lot of times the state didn't own properties that went down to the coastline. So programs like this allows us to and back to resources, even though we're visiting a portion of wildlife, we also have access to other deal in our resources, aquatic, so for streams or Doesn't
A
work.
little bit of prayer. Okay. Here you go.
You can take it back and forth. Vertical.
You have a USB-C.
Yeah, I
You plug that light.
Yeah.
You don't want that ready.
Okay.
Are you good? Okay. Okay, no worries. Okay, so we're back at it again. So going back to managing these watersheds, these parcels, we have challenges, right? And we all know hoofed animals, ungulates, what they do to the land, water quality issues, erosion, sedimentation issues, invasive species. Like I mentioned, we have crews just specifically dedicated to manage those issues. Pathogens, rapid Ohia death, we're familiar with, but luckily we're not familiar with. We've only had, I can honestly, transparently say we've had 2 cases on Maui, which has been good so far. We had one in Hamoa, that was years ago, and we had one by Pu'ukui in town. Now that was the strain, but it was in their landscape Ohias. So for what we know, it's only those 2 cases, but we have a dedicated staff just for rapid Ohia death as well. So we have a whole protocol that goes along with it. Okay, back to this. How do we get back to the free screen? What is that?
You want to get to the next slide?
No. Okay, I guess we're good.
Okay. If you need to, just
use that
you can press that to
instead.
advance.
Okay, so while we're here, we're trying to add properties to our Koloa Forest Reserve. Established in 1905. Oh,
Say we see it up here, but
let's see it.
we don't see the next slide. Within the building.
Let me do a check. Did it change yet? What do you say?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay. So it
Got
is.
No worries. No.
Okay.
So when I press it, we'll wait. And then we'll give the go ahead and then we'll move to the next one. Okay. So Koloa Forest Reserve, established in 1905, little more than 38,000 acres. And that stretches all the way from Lupi, what we call Lupi Road, all the way to past Makapipi, down into Hana. Tumoku, 8 Ahupua'a, 30 perennial streams, and the list goes on and on, endangered species. And I'll keep it going, it's better, we can keep on. Okay, so okay, this is the lag, because I see it here, I don't see it here. Oh, now I do. Okay, got it. Okay, so it's not showing, the one thing it's not doing though, it's not showing the whole slide. Is that a? So it's missing this. It's critical area where the probably didn't. Yeah, so.
Only thing I could think to do for you is this.
That would be cool. Yeah, for that. Oh, there we have. We'll get another picture. Back up.
Is that cool?
Yeah, it's the full one.
All
I
right.
didn't want to say anything before it's switch back.
And a screenshot.
Okay. Okay, so back at it. So the reason why we're here, East Maui Land Acquisition Project. This is the reason why we're here. This was several years ago. We had approached landowners, kind of a wish list. Hey, we heard people are getting rid of properties. And we didn't want, what was happening is we're seeing development going across from Huelu. You see these multi-million-dollar mansions that are going up with swimming pools, slowly creeping towards East Maui, going into Huelu, Kailua. And that became a concern of ours. And we approached landowners and said, what do you guys think? So that kind of started the whole East Maui project. This request today is part of the larger project, and we'll go over the phases because we're going to cover the phases. But our land acquisitions, seeking over almost a little bit more than 80 parcels along the East Maui corridor. How are we going to get there? 3 different ways. So we got some set asides, and we'll go into that. The set asides, it was unencumbered properties that we got set aside as forest reserves. That was a big chunk. I think it was almost, I know at one point, had to have been 50 or 60 parcels that was set aside as forest reserve to kind of help continue this acquisition of parcels. And then the question comes up, okay, state, you guys get these positions, these parcels, you guys just hoarding properties. We're not. We're trying to keep this in public trust. We're trying to keep it so that the public can access to it. Now, what comes along with public access? People worry about, you're gonna open up a place, you're gonna overuse it, overcapacity. That's when it's on us, it falls on us and the community to responsibly manage these accesses. And I'll explain kind of the first phase, what we're doing right now, that kind of tying everything to what we're trying to get at. So set asides, purchases, and donations. It's a little bit more than 20,000 acres, over 80 parcels. And then kind of going back to the application, I know it's on the application, and it's kind of what we've been, the mantra is, long-term, our goal is, long-term goal is to strengthen and expand the connectivity of protection and management of Maui's forests from the summit to the sea. So it's not only East Maui, we try to do this across Maui, Molokai, Maui, and Lanai. So that's kind of what we have in the back of our mind is how do we get that connectivity from Maui to Makai? And this is, like I said earlier, this is a project that will help with that. Okay. Good. Okay, as I mentioned before, project objectives: purchase, receive donation fee for 20 parcels, place the lands back into public trust. Some of these properties, right, private properties, they own it. We don't have access to it. So by getting it back to the public trust, we can have public access. All these properties would be designated as a forest reserve, which falls under my purview. Hence the reason why I gotta get this presentation. But I love every minute of it. Manage for public benefits, protect and restore natural resources. That's what we do. And then going back to the whole Mapu to Makai again. And I keep on harping on it, but it's to extend the network of public lands trust. So we want to continue that. Yes, we good?
Wow.
And anything, just yell out and we can stop.
Get that one by the time we go into the.
Yes. Okay. And this is just something that and you guys are very familiar with. So these are kind of the points, that you guys score on. And this is a view from, if I'm not mistaken, the Hiku landing area, looking back towards Hanabi. We had a site visit. It was a really, really hot and sweaty walk, but it was a beautiful end product at the end. We got to go to Hanabi stream and see where it empties out into the ocean, or in that case, it was cut off. But we had a nice day looking back and spending our time there. Switch, everybody. Oh, okay, got it. Okay, we'll give this one some time. Who's there?
You don't see it here. It's just the people online.
Got it. Okay. 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 Sounds good. Thank you. So public trust values and benefits. I feel like I'm preaching to the choir, but I have to. We got to cover this part. Undeveloped, mixed native, so this area, a lot of this area is non-native, Vibri and some other species. But they also hold some significant cultural resources. So this is this trail right here, the portion of the trail that you can actually still see along the hike. It goes in and out. So when we did the hike, you'll go on the dirt trail and all of a sudden you go back to this trail and you go back on the dirt. So this property, the properties, there's shoreline access, streams and water flow. This is where I'm kind of excited for this project as a forester by school and by management. The streams and the water, we rely on the aquatics resources division for a lot of our expertise and private partners. And I'm always trying to learn more about streams and water. And this project like this that allows to go from the Mapu to Makai allows somebody like me to get more involved with management of these resources and getting the expert advice from the other resources. Let's see. It has a historic Piilani Trail, provides a dark flyway for habitat for native seabirds. Okay, this is what I was talking about when I said the threat. Besides the invasive species threat and the rod and everything else that we talk about, the animals, a big threat is this. So this is where the project area is. If you guys can see in that inset there. But when I say the threat coming from Huelo to the east, this is what I mean as the threat. So just being here, you know, I didn't grow up here, but I've been here 23 years and have family that grew up in that area. They've mentioned that they've noticed, you know, as the time has passed, they see the next parcel, so it's slowly encroaching. And then when we get stuff like this, parcels like this, then of course the public can't access. Public, we can't, you know, it's out, it's private, so this is what we're trying to stop. We wanna prevent the threat of conversion, what we call development conversion, so. In this case, the parcel that we're going after, landowner is willing to sell it, and we were hoping we can acquire the resources to pick it up. And these parcels that we're talking about in this phase, I mean, it's beautiful access shoreline properties. I'm sure somebody would do this to it, and this is what we want to try and stop. Okay, so when I mentioned earlier, we'll go to, let's see what's coming up. Okay. So as I mentioned earlier, in addition to set-asides, there's a bunch of set-asides that were already approved to go into a forest reserve that was previously not forest reserve. So we didn't have any management, we didn't have any jurisdiction over it. It was just unencumbered parcels. So this is what we just acquired in 2023. Okay. So now what you see in red is in this phase, this request, that's what's in red. So this is the bigger picture. So if you see what we got acquired through 2023, and then I'll cover the phases in the next slide. But this is the idea, is to go from here and slowly acquire all these parcels that connect. It's hard to tell, but there's actually streams that connect from mouth of the highway to kind of the highway. So it looks like it pinches and it's like it's just dead end, but it's actually connected. This is we vetted through all these maps. I mean, went parcel by parcel to see what was connected. And this is the parcel that we came up with that we could try and acquire. So this is probably the best picture of everything in one big project. Oh, here we go. Okay, so talking about phases. I think the last time you guys probably saw this presentation, there were no updates. I think phase one was just phase one. Phase two was just still phase two, but there's no end game to it. So if you look, you can see acquired the 2023 lands that was set aside to forest reserve, all these light green ones here. So all this light green is forest reserve, all set aside, either set aside or are forest reserve, the light green. Okay, so now phase one, this is so it's color coded. So phase one, these are the two parcels that was in phase one. So that we already, good news. Okay, so phase one status, we acquired in March of 2025. So these are in DOFA hands, and we are awaiting the executive orders to be processed and signed by the governor to be officially forest reserve. So the question that we get sometimes is, okay, now that you guys got it in 2025, which is just a little less than a year ago, what's going on with these properties? Just because you guys got it, what's going on? So initially, what we want to ensure, first and foremost, what we wanted to ensure was making sure that we got everything EO'd over. We want to make sure everything's EO'd over to us. But the other thing is, as soon as people find out it's public land, they want to get, I got access, I need access. I have every right to get the access. So with that being said, in a parcel like this, this is a really, really beautiful little cove, area. And you can hike from the highway. There's a place you can hike. So for us to manage responsibly, so we have a reservation system right now. That's what we implemented with that parcel, because we know that everybody wants to get there. So it's a permit process. You call our office, and we only open that place up for access. I think I've set it for Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. So we didn't want access 7 days a week because it's going to be overrun, and we're probably going to make it worse than what it was before. So that's the also thing. When we acquire these places, we don't want to make the situation worse. So we have to manage it responsibly. So we have a reservation system, and we only allow one car up to 5 people per day. I think that's what it is, 5 to 8 people per day. The requests have been really low. Not everybody, we haven't really advertised it as far as call this number and get a reservation. So it's a lot of it is word of mouth, but people have been calling in. And so far it's been working. There's no overuse. It's actually probably less use than before. The one good thing that we've acquired with resources, I should add to this, is that we have 2 outreach specialists that what I hired them for was to patrol from basically this spot here all the way to Makapipi. So there are 2 vehicles, 2 trucks, and all they do is drive up and down on a highway. They help navigate the parking on the side of the road. So sometimes you guys might see cones along the side of the road by White Kamoy. That's probably our workers that are putting the cones there so that tourists don't park on the side, that people just don't pull inside, leaving their car halfway on the side of the road. So we have 2 full-time staff that's all they do is patrol. And so areas like this, right? Question is, how do you enforce access? How do you, who's going on there? What do you know about them? These guys go out there like every other day and check on it. So whenever somebody's supposed to be there for permit, they go there and check it out, making sure that there's only that group driving in. So that's the phase 1. That's the phase 1 section. As I said, it's acquired in 2025. Phase 2 is in yellow. The update, this is the last one. I don't think you guys had an update, but good news is it is closing, cross our fingers, ending of this month. So ending of this month, phase 2 with these big parcels here, that's closing 2026, end of this month. So that's a good news. Let's see, title issues, donation funds, all that stuff has been completed. And we are excited to receive those, like I said, hopefully in the next 2 weeks. And so that leads us to, and I'm almost there. Okay, phase 3, 3A, 3B. So phase 3A, we've already secured the fundings here already, and that will close next 126 December. So that's 3. What we're going in front of you guys for request is 3B. That's the lime colored green area. This is where Mahiku Landing's down here. Kings Trail comes into here to Hanabi. But these are the 3 acquisitions right here. You can see in this particular place, it doesn't connect directly to Malka, but it gets us pretty close to our Makapipi section. And this goes all the way down. This walk here. Like I said, I've only been there twice, and the second one we just went on a couple weeks ago. I could have stayed there all day. It would have been good. But this is what we're requesting for, is this group of projects, this group of parcels right here. So going back to, this might make the computer work overtime, but. So kind of just referring back to the overall concept and the overall phases of what we have right here. We just want to make sure that's. Okay, so I have Tanya that's also online, and we'll cover it here, but if you guys have a detailed question about the finances, she can jump in on the finances. So Forest Legacy 26, $2.3 million requested, provide state matching for federal funds. The key to this is that we have the 9.9 from the Fed side. So the $9.9 million, we rank #1 project nationally. We never say it's a done deal until it's a done deal, but we were told likely awarded in 2026. That's that $9.9 million. And then we have this $1 million to anticipated FY legacy, and that should get us to the purchase price. So the request is right here for the 26. Okay, outreach. You guys talk to the community. Yes, we're slowly getting on board with it's the whole phase, right? So there's a lot of landowners, a lot of neighbors that we have to talk to, and we've been slowly getting across working our way east with all the different groups. And I'm sure there's people that we might have left out in this list of community members and outreach that we've been going on with. And we're going to continue. This will never stop, right? We always got to get by the community, because especially in the phase, that 3B that we're trying to acquire right now, the Mahiku Landing area is really, really, it's a quaint, quiet neighborhood, right? There's a sign that says nobody go past when you go over the bridge to get to the trail. So that's what we want to work with the community on, how we can establish some kind of access control, because we realize that we don't want that to change. It's quiet now, we got to keep it quiet. Whether that takes us to hire somebody full-time that literally stays there and mans it so that nobody goes in and out, that's what we have to do. That's kind of stuff that we have to do. It's our responsibility when we acquire this kind parcels. Okay. So that was the end of that presentation. I think we were on time. It took us 5 minutes to do it. But, yeah, so thank you guys for, us dealing with this screen sharing issue. But it's a whole, it's not just this 3B that we're excited for, it's the whole concept of connecting west to east, Maka to Makaya. So, yeah, I think I'm done.
Wow.
Yeah, no worries. It's all good. Yeah.
I have some very good news. Chairman John Sinti was just walked into the room. And I want to welcome him. But I thought that at this time, I'm wondering if we are expecting Tanya Rubinson,
There was only if, we have financial questions or.
and I will ask if commissioners have questions for JOPA staff. Yes, Commissioner Henneman.
If you want to show yourself, for example, you can. I'll just,
Yeah, I think.
press the power button.
Ecological problems in the future. Thanks, Lance. Good presentation. I'd just like clarification on the numbers. We saw a number of different requests in there, 310, 3. Is it actually 2,310,000?
So that's a good question, and there's some back and forth that goes on with the numbers, and I think Tanya, if you can hear me, because that is a good question. And there's some stuff that has lingered from last year that are carrying over to this year, and let's see.
Tanya can hear you.
It's actually 7,000 less than 30.
Yes.
David Penn for the staff.
Yeah.
So the thing about that is, right now, we're trying to shift $700,000 of last year's money to this project. Because the other project, you may recall, Kawainui Makai, is being picked up completely by the county of Hawaii. So we haven't completed that transfer of funding yet. So if we get the other 700,000 approved for East Maui,
Plus the 3.
yeah, plus the 300,000 from last year. So the number at the top of your sheet was the total request from last year. And then this year's request is 300,000 less than that. And then the possibility that we're hoping for is 700,000 less than that. But I think for purposes of this meeting, the ask is 3,010,000.
But it could be 203.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that transfer is still in process, so, yeah. We don't start the party until the check clears the bank.
Best case scenario 2.3, worst case scenario 3.3.
Back up the slide that shows the parcel.
Yes. Let's see, let's go with, there you go, it's probably the best one. That has all of them.
When will we know on that date? The 700, when will we know?
Check. You can just sort of-
The request is in process. We're not sure when we'll know. But we have used this process before and it's worked. Hopefully we would know by the time we got to the board meeting, which is another couple of months from now. But, we have to get it done before June 30th. Otherwise, it's not possible to complete that transfer of money.
So we won't hope for this week.
Yeah, well, Lance, what's the timeframes on the forest legacy funds? Let's say, for instance, you don't get all the funds to close the deal this year. Is that just kind of the color? What's the color of that money?
So, sorry, I don't know that nine, that, in terms of that 9.9, so that's not what we found, either. I think she's off. Yeah.
Yeah,
Never city off the financial part of the.
She's unmuted, so.
Tell her not.
Yeah. yeah. So as far as the forest legacy funds, it's gotta be,
She's raising her hand.
Yeah. yeah, can you hear me?
Oh, there she is.
Can you hear?
Can you unmute?
Muted, to,
Can you hear me now?
but then we need to broadcast.
Okay.
Hello, hello, can you hear me?
We don't know.
Hello, Tanya. We can, but let me make sure I get the sound for you out into the open.
You definitely don't want to give it back. Yeah, yes.
Maybe try now.
Hello, can you hear me?
No.
You can hear me?
You could, Tanya. You could.
Tanya Rubenstein, I'm with Division of Forestry and Wildlife. And the forest legacy funds, which are from the Forest Service, I anticipate we would get an award as soon as Congress approves the budget. So that's kind of uncertain. But usually it would be potentially in the spring. And because we are the #1 project, and I think the whole amount was listed in the appropriations, I anticipate getting the entire amount. So if we do not have enough matching, we're required to have 25% non-federal match. So we'll have to try to cobble together, the legacy land request is the entire 25% match for the federal request. So if we do not get the entirety of our legacy land request, we may have to phase the phase 3B still further. We'll have to try to, we're also working with getting donations and trying to get the landowner to donate some of the value. But that will probably focus on some of the parcels that you see below. There's a section of blue parcels below the lime green parcels. And unfortunately, those have title issues. So we won't be able to buy them with federal or the legacy land dollars. So we're going to have to work on trying to get donations for that. So anyway, it's a complex answer. I don't really have the answer to the question, but I think we have a strong, supportive landowner that's working with us, and we'll just keep plugging along to try to get the match we need for the federal funds.
Thanks, Tanya.
Mohalim. Aloha Lance. Colin, I know this is not your project, so I'm gonna ask a few questions and hopefully you can. So, first and foremost, we see the trail, right, the Pi'ilani Trail. wanting to hear more about how you guys plan to protect and restore that. So explain what is that gonna entail?
So Scott and I, we don't have a management plan for that right now. So we don't per se have a management plan for it right now. But before he left to go back to, California, we had talked about it. And it's not our expertise. So this is where we would call in community groups, cultural resource groups to help us. What is the best way to preserve a trail like this? Because everybody's got different ideas, right? Do they wanna put, protection ratings, or do you have to make it ADA, all this kind of stuff. So what we're talking about is really involving the community and people this is what they do, right? This is what they manage. So we want to rely on them on how we want to approach this whole trail. We just know that we have to responsibly manage that access for it. As far as restoring the trail itself, we're all for it. I mean, whatever means that takes for us to do it, we would want to do that. But the access is more of the issue for us too, is how do we not overuse the trail? How do we protect it from that part, Don't have 20 cars parking in the equal lane and trying to walk up the road, and that's what we want to do. We don't want to do that. That's opposite of what we're trying to do. When it comes to restoring the trail, protecting the trail, we'll rely on our resources that we can have access to do that. So I know it doesn't answer your question. We don't have a management plan for that particular trail, but that's what we would really want to head towards on that road, is lean on others that can kind of help guide us. And then we take what's the best for that area. And then the community might have a totally different, idea of what they want to do with the trail. So.
No.
In our section of the trail, so you can see where it's lying, and then it disappears, and then it starts again, so.
Okay, here we go. There's also mention of a Heiau, east side of Hanmi Stream. What are the plans to protect, or are there plans to protect?
So it's going along the line, same as the trail system. So we have this issue with other parcels that we acquired, where we have Heiau, so we have one by the windmills here in, Honolulu. It's the same thing. We're gonna approach to the community and see what's best, because we've done this in other places where we find we know that we have a Heiau or a site on the parcel, and you go to one group, right, and they say, oh, can we put up a fencing? Then you go to the other group that says, we don't want the fencing because we don't want people to know it's there. So then we gotta rely on, what's the best, and this is where we gotta consult back and forth and try to gather and make the best decision we can. I don't know if there's a template for how to protect those, because I think everything is different. Every site is different, every Heiau is different. So that's what same thing we rely on, and other experts to help us guys out.
The other thing is that it mentioned in your application, there was Native Hawaiian traditional and customary practices that may happen. I'm wondering, are you guys in touch, aware of any ohana cultural practitioners who are accessing these areas for gatherings, ceremony, and rituals, and are you engaging with them?
So right now, because this is like a new parcel we're looking into, we haven't per se worked with anybody who's working in that area right now as far as a cultural TCP type stuff. But Scott has been talking to one of the local community members down there. And it says, we go down there to the stream, we do the fishing, we do the diving. So that kind of stuff, we still want to preserve it. And we do it with other forest reserves. Every other parcel that we acquire that we're in charge of now, like I was mentioning earlier, we have a permitting system. So if somebody comes to us and says, hey, we want access to this trail and we want to, go fishing or something, we have a process which, we give them a application, they fill it out. We ask them, traditionally, who's been doing it? How did you learn how to do this kind of stuff? So we actually make them go through like a process. It's a pretty easy process. And then we'll consult with Ahumoku reps, or we've done that in the past where we say, hey, what do you think about this? Do you guys know the person? Are they from the community? They're not from the community, or are they pulling our leg? So we do this back and forth dance, and it sounds like it's a long bureaucratic process, but it's not. It's pretty easy where we'll call certain people and be like, what do you think? And then of course there's every issue, there's background issues, right? So we got to find out what, maybe this person just doesn't like that person and they're giving us bad information. So we go back and forth with the community as best as we can, and we want to do the exact same thing when it comes to the native gathering practices and practitioners. We're all supportive of it. If somebody comes to us and says, hey, we wanna do something that wasn't traditionally done in the area, which we would check with our local reps, then that's where we're defining, say, you know, we don't feel that this is a traditional practice, we're not gonna allow it. So that's kind of how we deal with that case. So we'll support it, we're very supportive of it.
Hello. The other thing you notice is in the type report. Like, hear me? In the title report, it does show there are Kuleana lands. And so in this case, have you folks engaged any of the lineal descendants of these Kuleana lands?
So I know, yes, so Scott, my supervisor has touched base with some of the, and this is with all the other, this is with all the other phases as well. From phase 1 to phase 2, there's been Kuleana parcels or, you know, I wouldn't say rumors, but people are saying, hey, this person owns that part, this person owns this. So we go ahead and actually contact that family or any representative from that family. And we work with them and see what we can do to help perpetuate or keep it going. So we did that with like phase 2, there's a parcel where there's like a graveyard on the way to the parcel. We called the Range family and talked to Kola, which is one of the, he lives right on that area. Worked with him to see how we can make access for them to get to and from the burial places. And so we want to continue to do that as well. Like again, we don't have a management plan or we don't have like a checklist, but we've been making efforts to call each person because we realize how important it is. We can't do none of this. We would just go in and try to kick everybody out and say this is public land when we know we have lands inside of our parcels. So we're definitely going to work with them.
All right, no problem. Last one.
No worries.
Last question I have is, so given, of course, there is cultural resources with the trail, there's a Heiau. Are there plans for an AIS or a CIA in regards to then helping to inform your management plan?
So to be as transparent as honest as I can be, right now, I can tell you if we're gonna do that or not, but if it does, if there's a reason why we will, if it triggers, or if there's a very, very eminent reason why we have to, or we want to, we will. Like, I don't see how we can, if it calls for one, we just can't avoid stuff like that. To me, as transparent as we can be with any parcel that we acquire, I think we just should do it. And I know it's just me saying, I'm up here talking, and that's me just saying it, but as long as I'm here, and as long as I have my supervisor very supportive of it, we are very inclined, like I said, very aware of that whole aspect of the parcels that we acquire. It's part of the responsibility when we acquire these parcels. We just don't have the natural resource management. I'm glad you're bringing this up because even though we're a natural resource management outfit, a large portion of what we do is dealing with the cultural side of it and the historical side of it. And of course, we wouldn't want to do anything that's disrespectful or, you know, we just want to do it the right way. And that's what it takes, that's what it takes. There's no rush. I always tell people, for me personally, I don't get anything out of this as far as like, I'm not getting anything out of it as far as personally, but as far as a manager, we got to do what we can do to what best fits the community. And I know it sounds very cliche or fluff, but we really try to do it. My boss and I, Scott, really try to make an effort to really consider the community. Again, we have a lot of community meetings. We don't always agree. We don't always, you know, agree to disagree. But we try to at least connect the community, at least establish communication. So yes, and yes, still all of that.
Okay, like.
Yes, yeah.
Other questions, Commissioner? I don't. We have a.
Okay.
We got it one. Okay, thanks very much for. Thanks very much for this presentation. I did go on just a little visit last year, but not this year. There's a parcel of parcels that's up Malka. Yeah. Yes, in this phase. And so we've talked a lot about the connecting of you know, from Malka to Makai. Tell us about the significance of that one. I can see it's adjacent to existing state reserves.
The lines on. What was available what they were willing to get rid of, what we didn't want be developed, what we're trying to, it's part of the actually trying to prevent that, the threat of being developed. Plus two, it's adjacent to our property, so that's one of the thoughts of, it's adjacent to our forest reserve there. That's actually part of, that's the bottom part of Cola. With the intent that at some point, and I'm not too sure if I had the TNK, I could tell you what's up in here, in between here. But I did, there's opportunities to keep on going down the hill, we'll keep on going down. So because it's adjacent to our Cola forest reserve, that was one of the reasons why that was added in as well.
Is there either development near that parcel now and or are there other parcels that in a future phase might continue to expand the?
It's private parcels right around there. And that's always a possibility of, and there's homes and there's lots that are lining the highway in some of those areas. So it's still a threat of, you know, if somebody does get it, the right opportunity, I'm sure they would build it up. It's a beautiful place out there. So, it doesn't have the connectivity, like you said, like how these do, say right here, but it's still, it's connected to our, what we have our forces over there now. So that's why we felt it was important at that point. Who has gone on the field site? Is it everybody? It's a nice one. You guys wanna go? We can all go back. It's a beautiful hike. Yeah, it's great.
Only one microphone. Okay. My question is simple. Is it the right time? Can I ask the question? Okay. You talked about the water resources being interesting, but in this particular place, is DAR involved doing stream surveys? Is the extra insurance old? I mean, seems like it's a pretty important place for that, but I just wish you could understand.
Yeah, so as far as what they're doing right now, about how guys aquatics, so, oh, it wasn't on. Anyway, as far as the aquatic resources of, are they doing surveys, stream surveys? Hanabi Stream, I believe has been surveyed in the past, and there is data on it. Now, currently, are they doing work right now? I don't think it's just from me dealing with how it is. I'm not familiar with them doing work right there, but it's something where I mentioned this to Scott as soon, because we work with HAL on other projects in Hana Forest Reserve in Waihoi Valley, and other areas along Kola. We've been working with HAL guys on trying to do turbidity tests and monitoring, seeing what our fences are doing. So one of the things we're working with aquatics is how are our fences that we put up in the mouth of the watersheds affecting the turbidity and quality? Is it actually working, right? We put up all this, we use this money to put up fences. It doesn't really do anything for the water. So in a case like this, we would immediately have them get involved as far as helping us monitor and tell us what's inside species. I mean, there's data on it, but if they could go back in, we'd have to go back in. But and I would, like I said, I want to start learning more about that because that's the part that is not my expertise, is the water resource side of it, the stream side. So we would rely on them heavily. And you.
Commissioner,
Are there any further? Are there any?
Like,
Are there any further questions?
you can only have one.
Commissioners, are there any further questions?
And, I was wondering if there are any public testimony on Zoom. Any else? Anybody want to stop screen sharing?
We're now asking for any public testimony from Zoom. Do we have any raised hands? Okay. Oh, we have one from Mavis.
Maybe you're.
You can take a Mapudi space.
You don't want? Can you
Hello,
guys,
Mavis.
I have Salt Church, waiting to testify. Aloha. Yes, can you guys hear us?
Aloha. We can hear you. You have to speak into the mic so that they can hear you.
Okay, the mic is on.
On this, okay.
I don't know if I can. Okay. Did you unmute your mic?
Aloha.
So,
Hi, my name is Sol. Can you
this is for the first item, correct?
Yes, correct.
Can you guys hear him?
We can hear you.
Okay,
Go ahead.
awesome. Aloha, my name is Sol Church. My ohana is Naiole. I was born here in Hana. Yeah, I would like to testify on the first thing we have on the agenda here today. My whole concern is community outreach. I have worked with DLNR in the past here as the chairman of the Hana Community Association. And I had asked Lance and Scott for transparency in having community outreach on projects directly impacting Hana. And they refused to have any type of input from the community out here regarding transparency on what they're doing in those areas as far as like conducting their protection protocols. As I was, when I was chairing the Hana Community Association, I had gotten flown to these fence-lined areas up in the upper regions of Hana. What I had documented and photographed was a very lack of holding contractors responsible for bringing in invasive species of plants into these areas. These fence lines were not completed, and it was just like more like a facade. Along these areas were a lot of invasive species that were tracked into the forest, like fireweed, lilicoys, whatever and I asked them about decontamination protocol, and they said it's pretty much up to the contractors in these areas. There was no community outreach here in Hana, and we asked for it many times. It was really avoided. So there's a lot more that needs to be addressed here in this issue regarding those coastal areas because of Kuleana shareholders and Kuleana lands in those areas, and a lot of private property adjacent to these properties. So I just wanted to bring that to the attention. And also denying rights of indigenous people access to these areas. In these past, I want to say past 10 years, a lot of these forest units that were taken over by the DLNR were fenced off, and these are game management units where they're actually accessible for hunting practices, and they were completely eradicated. We have videos and documentation of footage where these areas were fenced off completely, and even some of these areas above the West Maui Mountains and Lahaina, after the fires happened, the DLNR really amplified its efforts to fence off that area. I have pictures and documentation of the company Greg Czar knowingly, with the DLNR's approval, bulldozing ohia lehua trees in that area to put in their fence lines, and the runoff that happens in those areas when the water is flowing, speeding up contamination areas in Ma'alaya and those areas too as well. So we want to make sure that this is not happening here in Hana. Our coastal areas are thriving. The community is thriving because we still have access to our indigenous practices. And so we want to make sure that this is continued. And the term conservation for us, it seems like more of a control thing, not really giving us the access we need to thrive in our indigenous habitat as ancient people. So there needs to be more community outreach, and there needs to be an actual meeting. We have not ever had a meeting out here with Lance or Scott or any of the DLNR. We want to have more conversation, and we want to have more transparency. Yes. So those are my community concerns here.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Was your first name is Saul?
My first name is Saul.
Church?
Last name is Church.
Thank you so much, Mr. Church.
Thank you very much.
Is there anybody else on Zoom who wants to testify on item number 1, East Maui Coastal Forest?
Did you want to thought? No, this is, you guys had questions regarding that. Okay. Yeah, so we're familiar with Saul Church, and if you guys had questions, I can easily answer, but no problem.
Go ahead. You can also testify. You see Mavis?
Yes, sir.
Aloha. Please go ahead with your testimony. Introduce yourself.
Oh, you are muted right now.
You need to unmute, sir.
Aloha, Mike Kako, o Samuel Akoe, residing Kipulu. He's a Maui practitioner. I'm testifying on first agenda today. I'm looking for transparency. I'm looking for in working together in learning more. My ohana is the Tawa ohana. It's all our aina around there. You know, there's royal patents. You know, I'm testifying on behalf of my royal family, and I want transparency in all these purchasing of lands that was stolen from foreigners, and it needs to come back in our hands. So if we can work together, you know, and seeing what it will look like in the future. I don't see an emergency in this purchase that is put forth together. But yeah, I'm with Saul. We have a bunch of amas all over the islands that can come together and fill space as we move forward in transparency, going to the AINA, looking at the AINA, looking at our resources that we have, looking at resources that we don't have, looking at the native plants. But you know, number one is it's our native Hawaiian rights to gather, to go on top and stuff. It's one thing about people when they buy AINA or purchase land, they think they own the AINA, but they own their own title. So I'm just letting everybody know that, you know, let's move forward and do this in transparency. My whole ohana live down there. They all need to know what's going on. So thank you very much. Mahalo. Ahui.
Mahalo.
Is there any other testimony from Zoom?
Would anybody in the room like to testify on this item? No. Okay.
Okay, I'll introduce myself. I'm John Sinton, on behalf of Hawaiian Airlines. I apologize.
So you need to ask.
Okay, Okay. Anyway, I believe that concludes testimony on agenda item B1. Am I correct about that? Okay, I thank all of you who did testify. Any further remarks, commissioners? Okay, moving on. Next up is item B2 from K. Aho Halii for $4,054,900 to acquire approximately 115.576 acres at Hane'o'oina, District of Hana, Island of Maui. Tax map key numbers 21-4-007:005, 011, 012, 019, 020, 021, 022, and 023. Scott Crawford and Marianne Kahana presenting for Ke'au Ali.
Would you like to be seen by the Zoom folks?
Sure.
Okay. So stand near here. You should have the camera on and
Down here.
okay, and then to slide forward, just click this.
I gotta come, my eyes, my mouth. Hello, everyone. Mahalo for having Carol Halii here today. Mahalo commissioners for your warm welcome coming into this building and this space. My name is Marianne Pahana, and we have three presenters, myself, Scott Crawford, and Uncle Irish. They'll go ahead and introduce themselves during their segment, during this briefing. A little bit about myself. I am a direct descendant of Hana. I come from the Piilani Ohana lineage. I live on generational land in Hamua on Hane'o Road, which is where this land acquisition submittal is for the Ahupua of Hane'o. I'm also a veteran, retired flight nurse, as well as a board of director for Ke'auali'i and a member of Hane'o Hamua Fishing Village. We also have Lisa Starr, who's present. She will handle the real estate function. And we have Helena Lee Akawili, and she will handle the historical and archaeology function. Okay. Here's our overview that we'll cover for this briefing. We'll give you the updates for our application. We'll cover the item maps and the images. The urgent threats that is upon this parcel. Our stewardship that we have already implemented. It would be briefed by Uncle Irish. And the information regarding our historical, cultural, and natural resources. To include what's ahead for this parcel. And this photo was taken during the site visit. I want to apologize, it wasn't here at this day of December 16. Even though I chose that date, I had a higher calling. This is what happened. Hawaii Homeland dropped us a notification that my daughter needed to go to this meeting. So I ended up proxying her, and God bless, she got awarded Hawaii Homeland. But that was the scenario on that day, just letting you all know. Updates were, we did receive the letter from the current owner of this parcel, which is the Ranch Partners. And I'll cover more about this letter in the future slides. And we also did get the support from HILT. They will be supporting us in this conservation easement. Okay, this is the current land parcels. It consists of 8 parcels. So currently, this is how it looks like right now. And the total of acreage is 150. All right, what had happened with the current owners is what they did is consolidate and subdivide 8 parcels, which was the current slide. And then they ended up moving the parcels. Few of these parcels are Juliana Aino. So currently there's 6 5-acre lots that you guys viewed that sits on the top of Hana Highway. And then we have lot 7 and then lot 8, which is the bigger parcel. So as far as threat, I don't know if you guys know me, but I was here back in 2018. I tried to acquire the same parcel along with another 8-acre parcel, which we did receive, so mahalo nui for that. The day before this presentation, I was told that this parcel was no longer for sale, so it was grabbed by someone else. So for this presentation, I was just waiting and seeing, okay, is it gonna happen again? Like the day before I prepped, with this presentation, and then the day before they said, oh, by the way, they're not gonna sell. But I'm glad I'm actually here to present you guys of our application. But just to let you know, that's what had happened in 2018 when I had black hair. Now she gray. As far as threats, what I do see is the same scenario that Mr. De Silva shared with his slide. By the way, mahalo for your fabulous presentation. I am, like I said, I'm from the Iolani line, so when you mentioned Iolani Trail, I'm in it, okay? But he did have a slide, and I did have a slide then too, that these millionaires or multimillionaires, you can already see what they're gonna do with the Aina. Because us, when we see ocean, we see that's our refrigerator. No, that's what we harvest from. But when we see outsiders with this type of parking, all they're interested in is their $1 million view of the ocean. It's very sad. But that's one thing I don't want to see. Back in 2018, I really did know at that point that this was going to happen, this development. Like I said, I did have a slide which consisted of the same thing that he had with the home and the pool. Back in 2018. And here we are today, a threat of development. So yeah, I really am praying on this in hopes that wherever we are able to conserve and preserve this parcel. So going back to what I shared earlier regarding the letter, dialogue has been that our aim is to cover all, to gain all the 8 acres, but dialogue has been with the current owners is lot 8. But again, we'll see. And they're willing to look at our offers as far as dollar amount. Okay, they call it this isn't showing. It's eating. Cut it off. Anyway, I'm a little bit ahead of myself. I did talk about the re-subdivision and the consolidation. And this is the same site that we had before. And when you all did, just want to share with you all, when you all did the site visit, there was all shrubs and bushes here. When they clear this out, you will see Palau Island and you will see the ocean. Why I know that? From 2017 I do the 5K route around Haneo'o Hamo. So I know this parcel very well. Cause I just live in the same Ahupua'a.
Mary, real quick before you move on,
Yeah.
it's not gonna show these, but you might wanna just mention these points that are on that slide.
At the bottom. Okay.
These ones here.
Okay, sorry about that. There's further information to this slide. Want to mention, and it was also mentioned in our written submittal that there is a current appeal regarding the consolidation and the subdivision of this parcel. And it consists of the Samoa Haneo'o Fishing Village Holdings. So there is a contested case that's currently pending. And then just to let you know, it was already approved by the planning director. The consolidation and the re-subdivision. And then I'm going to introduce Uncle Irish, and he will go ahead and brief the work that was done with Kelly.
Hello, everybody. My name is John O'Hara. Yes, I am Hawaiian. I'm called by my nickname, childhood nickname as Irish. You need to be by Hawaiian Moana, with all of the white world. My Ohana in Hana is the Kauimaka'olis, and Kalani. And my Ohana of Mokai, joining Aupua is the Kekahuna, and Tayapu and Haluna. I am also the chair of KLE. I have been with KLE since we organized in 2018. And Scott did me the honor of taking this place as the chair when we stepped down. And his intention was to have a little descendant to lead the poll for our organization, which I thought it only fitting. And I accepted the role. Kelly has been in the protection of islands in Hana since 2018. Our mission is to protect, preserve the natural cultural resources of the Hanamoku and the customary and traditional practices of Native Hawaiians in the region, to hold title and to hold interest in real property or to hold easements to preserve and manage the area's natural, cultural, scenic, historic, and marine resources for the benefit of education and enjoyment of our community and future generations. This is parcel 004. This is the Haneo'o Aina. What did you carry? And this is the first parcel that we acquired in 2020. This, and I'll talk about this later on as on how we go to our accomplishments. So it's kind of adjoining to our land. 015 is a Aina that Mary mentioned that when we tried to get the previous 100 acres, we only was able to get parcel 1015, which also is a sacred Aina, undisturbed Aina. This is Humboldt Beach, Pu'uhele, is our pool here. And this area, and I'll talk about it later, this is where is Kupuna. We've used themselves periodically, as part of our, stewardship of the land. Next, sorry. Allow Island, PJC allow, Sila Lopo, and Caribbean Pele. Lot of historical areas in this area, that, cannot be developed. The Mary's house over there.
Yeah. Lisa just brought to my attention that the TFKs are actually wrong. The 4 is in 1. It should be 1-4. Sorry about that.
Oh, yeah.
My mistake.
Can I go back again, sir? Sorry.
Okay.
Yes. I never really look at these slides yet, so I'm really looking at them now. Kawiki Hill over here. As one of the parcels when we did our acquisition was donated by the ranch partners. They did not want no part of that hill. Liability is very high. But for us Hawaiians, if you conquer Kawiki, you conquer Hunt, you conquer Maui. And it was quite significant, that we owned that parcel. Okay. Sorry. This is, part of our outreach program, bringing, students, Kula Kaipuni, program in Hana School. They come on our land and, we train them on, we had a biologist that we hired that taught our workforce and our board on how to plant and grow things on the land. So we grow from seedlings and cuttings. And this is one of our nurseries that we have. This is conducting training with the students on how to plant. And then we take them on the island and we let them plant island. Then we bring them back in again and we let them see the results of their planting. And then, in the case of the kalo, we will let them harvest and take home what we planted. So we try to get our students involved with the island, let them learn. A lot of them have lost that connection because of the loss of the land in Hana. So we try to restore that they become connected with the land again. This is just, again, this is a student training, who did that over there? I'm not sure. Oh, it's Gary Bustamante, Nova, doing, training on, the coastal flora and the bees. I'll talk about the bees, the native bees in that area. Planting, our nursery, and a variety of people that come on the land, kupunas to babies to whatever, all are welcome on our land. Along with the land, you also take on the kuleana of the kai, the kahakai. This is a group that we have. I think this is the Limo Festival, Scott, yeah. Limo Fest, not Limo, it's a festival, the Limo Survey that we do twice a year. That we bring people in from all different parts of the island to share with them our legal area, which we are very proud of. Quite a big turnout, different organizations, visitors from the other islands, different Hawaiian groups in our East Maui and from other areas that come and participate in our field survey. And they go crazy. When they come there, they go wild when you see the linen. This is, I think, this is classes that we give on the linen, that we learn and that we share with the community.
And OPE surveys that one.
Oh, we also do, opinion surveys. Where, I watch, because you gotta go in the water, you gotta go down into the shore break, like what these people are doing, and we measure the sizes of the OPE and the amount per quadrant. So we have data that we can use to compare on how we doing with our OPE. We also established an OPE rest area, so that we can propagate the OPE and help share the OPE with downstream lands there. Stewardship highlights, these are things, and I write notes because if you would like me to talk on each one, that's gonna be to going on and on. But anyway, these are the highlights, and number one is Ibi Kupuna, and that word there, Scott will put that. This is, I put that, we re-interned them. When we took our first land, and I mentioned our first property, 004, where we knew that that was known Ibi Kupuna area. As growing up, as we walked through there to go to Hamor, and go and serve our parents and our kupuna would just tell us, don't go past that place. But that's the shortcut, yeah, so we went that way. So when you ask what is that area, is just stay away. That's the history I know of the area. I feel I learned more. So I am very emotional when I talk about Kupuna. So when we started land acquisition, the trade was in front of my place at Makalan. That was the parcel that was for sale. We then found out that there was other parcels being sold. Parcel 004 was up for sale. When we asked the ranch if we could purchase that one, they said, don't even think about it. You don't have enough money for it. We came and we found a way that we could get that parcel. But when we took that parcel, we did on the Kuleana of the Ibi Kupuna. And we knew that. Keaoli took on the Kuleana and our board, some of our board members and our families in Hamor became cultural and legal descendants through that Ibi Kupuna. That way we would have some say with the Ibi Kupuna as far as what would happen. We went to training. Well, we did a workshop with Haleagoaya from the Big Island. We come to Hana and teach us the protocol and the laws involving Ibi Kupuna. There was about 40 people there, and about 20 was from Hana. We learned how to deal with Ibi Kupuna. We had no idea where we're going with this, but we were committed. We learned how to, the law, the protocol, and how to return the Ibi. We then knew, because this area was Ibi Kupuna, that where are the Ibi Kupuna that left this area? Where did they go? They were turned into SHPD, State Historic Preservation Department. They were put in storage in a container in Kahului behind McDonald's, that the storage area, the container. When I asked to look for the Ibi Kupuna, they took me and I see the Ibi Kupuna there. There were packages of Ibi Kupuna. some had over 30 years in storage that was taken from Han, which was the protocol. If you find the people in the Holocaust, or they can't take them, they put them in storage, leave it there until somebody claimed it. Well, they already claimed it. After learning the protocol, making the baskets, learning how to do those things, we was ready to bring the Ibikupuna home. And as I sat in that chair and I looked out the window, that's the shipping storage area that I picked up the Ibikupuna to take home. 30 packages. We got home to Hana to prepare it and get it ready for free permit. That was our commitment, that before we take on this item, we had to put the Ibikupuna back to make things right. And we did. We made 8 baskets, set up a burial area. We established a burial treatment plan so that we would never have to take Ibikupuna from our land and end up over here. They don't come here anymore. They go to our storage vault that we've established on our island. That we will keep them there until we can visit to Canada and bury them. So we were successful in putting back the Ibikupuna. Was that the end of Ibikupuna? No. We have done Ibikupuna, reinventing it throughout the years. We have taken 2 full skeletons from our coastal areas that were exposed to the sunlight. And we hung them and buried them. We did bones that just reveal themselves every so often. Our last garden was last year, summertime, 2025. And the last time Ibikupuna was revealed, and we already had to go get it was November 2025. So we continually have to take care of that Kuleana to the extent. That action for me and for our wife in our board, feel that is what made the Howdy so successful. And able to acquire land and be able to steward it with these following items. So that will cover over to the Hanero part. We know the protocol, we know the pathway, we know what to do. We will follow what we've learned and done. But that's the most significant cultural connection I think you can ever get. You have to learn coding, you have to learn how to go make material, you have to go harvest. And I was glad that I was a part of it. During our acquisition, we was able to finally get one base yard. We used to have no place to go except on our land. Well, we set up a base yard that was fenced. We had containers, 2 maxi containers. We built in the alley, so that we could have place to gather. We set up, right now we have 3 nurseries, 20 by 30. And we have water on the island that we brought down from the highway to our base yard and to the base yard down to the coast on our land. Pasture management, yeah, when we took over the land was grazed by on the ranch biological. And we extended the grazing license with them so that they can raise our tractors. But then we felt that they were not doing right to our INA. They were using the INA for purpose. They would run their large herd of cattle troops, they would overgraze, they would bring invasives to the land. And then finally we stopped the grazing license and said no more cattle. And what do? We let the pasture grow till today. Now we have the ability that we started a grant with, the Department of Agriculture that we will start bringing cattle back in. Year one project, is that started in, November last year, that, we started doing pasture management and we have been based in planting day trees for the cattle. And then we can progress to fencing, paddocks, water, troughs. And then the third year, we'll go into bringing cattle back on the land. That will be run by LTD. Volunteers, community work days, and the pictures show, I've got numbers here. Let me just share some of the numbers, just so you know that, you know, when you store the land, they probably say you gotta regulate the entry, otherwise they're gonna abuse the land. So we regulate the entry, but we try to accommodate as much people as can. I mentioned the school students. Our work days, in, 2024, we bring 326, 500 people on our monthly work days. Community outreach, we go out into the community at Darrow Festival, Limo Festival, Aloha Week, Kolau, the Kolau Festival, and we estimate that we engage with about 400 or 500 people a year. Outreaching, telling them about our project and what we do. School students, we total so far since 2022 about 300 students we bring on the island. Other groups, Hawaiian groups, allow visitors from all the island, nonprofits, archaeology, scientists. Since 2022, we've done about 670 visitors. In 2025, we had 160 of them come on our land. Access by reservations, a reservation system we established for people that make reservations come on the island. So far, total from 2023 to 2024 was about 1,038 people. The team on the island, 2025 data, I don't have, the data is from being collected, it needs to be turned in and it'll be smart to the new. Hawaiian Island Land Trust. Planting of native and canoe plants. We have planted over 4,500 plants. We got a lot of them in our nursery and then we're starting to put them on our lands. Our last work day, Saturday, we put 45 golden plants in. So we continuously try to restore the vegetation of the island. The native yellow face meat, the Nalo berry mauli, that we was identified by DOPA and being our property. We established a fence area so that we could hopefully get them rejuvenated, populated. And they are doing well. We had to, a lot of the plants went for the purpose of the beef and the haka plants, the little plants, the puli plants, which is their natural habitat. They're doing well. They're starting to move along the coast, and they are also starting to move on the property across the Hawaii where they need to put it. So that one is doing good. The Seabird Sanctuary, this is our new project that we're starting. You know, when we got the land, we brought in scientists and experts come on the land and tell us what you guys see on the land from what we know. And one of them was the seabird Maui Nui Seabird, the recovery project. They identified barrels, on our pool, that Junjo for the first property that where our project will be. And that, if we would put a predator fencing, the birds would return to our island and help our ecosystem. Our island is loaded with birds. We just gotta make a way for them to come back and be protected. And that's the project that we're starting. And we're kind of excited about it because something new, something good. And, a lot of hope in the future with that happening. And if you go back to Easy Kupuna, but when we planned the project, they put in predator fencing. The concern was Easy Kupuna, and we knew we were not going to dig. Cannot dig into that item because of the Easy Kupuna. So we developed a way, working with the Seabird Recovery Project, to install predator fencing by pounding fence posts in, installing fences with skirts to keep predators out. But rather than digging, we came up with the idea that if we could grow natural shrubs to cover the fencing and prevent the predators from entering underneath. So we took on that project and we started the planting of those plants at our nursery. So they are thriving. When we are starting with our fencing, we'll be able to complete the fencing without disturbing the kupuna. Marine habitat, I talked about the Aina. When you get the Aina, especially coastal Aina, when the marine habitat is another kuleana that you need to be aware of. And there's a lot of things for a 11-man board to accomplish. When we started off, we met this Maui Nui Makai network group that we wanted to not be a part of, but have them support us. They were established, and we were a new organization that had no background. So we hooked up with them and learned about their project. And their but their organization knows how to do marine habitat. We never have to create the wheel on that one. So we joined them, partnered with them, and now we have established, I mentioned the surveys, legal survey. We've done water sampling with high school kids as part of the science class where they do our ocean water, they do our Kauai, they do Waiopakon, and they do Papuakai, Hana Bay, where Kawiti Hill is, and they sample those area and gave us data that we could use to evaluate the impact of visitors to those areas. One of the things we participated in the Maui Hikina Huliamani, which is regional CDSFA, which is community-based subset fishing area. And we became a part of that with the Kampo Ohana, the Kipohulu Ohana, the Mo'olea Ohana, Keauni representing the Hana Ohana, and the Keaunai Ohana. And that is the Huliamai of East Maui, that we thought we could come together and establish a regional CDSFA. We met with the Hana fishermen, not very successful. They did not participate the way we thought they should. We had a very poor turnout. But we proceeded to develop our proposal for KLE. What did we want for our lands? We finally met maybe about last year, maybe December, November timeframe with the made a committee meeting with the Hana fishermen and told them of our proposal. And the result was drastic. They wanted no part of this, you don't tell us what to do. But they say, we will get together, and what ended up is they formed their own group. And they are developing their proposal that they can provide to Ismail Julia mine, that we can come up with a regional CPSFA, which is fishing regulations for the state, to propose to the state that this is what we want, and this is what we is for. In most cases, our restrictions are more restrictive. Not restrictions, but our regulations are more restriction than the state. Some are too loose. In some, they don't even address the fishing. In some cases, we know there's a lot of it. Give us more. So that's what we're doing with that regional CBSFA. Our staffing for maybe 4 years, we operated just with a board, a chair, a vice chair, a secretary, treasurer, and 7 board members. And that's how we operated. We're killing ourselves. In the first 2 years, we would meet every week. And then we cut down to where we are now, it's now monthly. We finally get employees to help us. We have an executive assistant that helps me to, accomplish the administrative, the grants, and the project management. We hired a bookkeeper, someone to run the books. It was way over the head of our treasurer. We had INA supervisor for our field workers. We had INA stewards and a Mackay watch. We had 7 stewards and a Mackay watch. Total of 11 we have. And we really need an executive director. I mean, we've come big enough where you need to move on. You cannot handle what you got, and we recognize that. And we move in that direction. Funding sources, we have the funding from the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. That helped us with the ED Kupuna that I mentioned what we've done. That was funded by them. Hawaii Community Foundation, County of Maui, NOFA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, Department of Agriculture, Polani Hana, which is a nonprofit organization that we partner up with, and they subcontract us to execute their grants. And I think we do it okay. We do it okay. We recognize our shortcomings. But the money we get from here is, never enough, but enough for us to do what we gotta do. Except it takes 8 years is pretty fast. Community say, wow, when you guys want to clean up this, when you guys want to do this, and we move with the spirit. The spirit tells us how to go, where to go, how fast to go. And we very, I use the word scared. We're scared of the land we have and protective. We don't want it to be open, but we know we cannot shut it. We have to share it with the people. Oh yeah. Mahal, sorry, emotional talk.
Oh, Uncle. It's on? Is this actually on?
It's gone now.
Okay.
All the time mo to.
Hello, Commissioners. I'm Scott Crawford and the former chair and predecessor for Uncle Irish. And just to wrap up a few things real quick is basically, you know, I think Mary touched on the threat, the urgent threat that this hunting of land is facing. Uncle Irish shared about all the other work that Cal-Lee has done. We've received 4 awards from Legacy Land in the past and been able to successfully complete those awards. And really all the work that he's shared is pretty much in the last like 2 years. That since about 2013 is when we sort of transitioned from focus on acquisition and protection to then focus on managing what we have acquired. And we kind of thought, well, okay, our work is done. The goal of what we set out to achieve, and didn't think this Honeyoo parcel would become available. Then as things have transpired, we may have the opportunity to bring this into the overall, you know, contiguous regional stewardship. And so we're back again. Appreciate your support. Within Honeyoo, one of the significant things, although it's not right on the coast itself, it's a very significant coastal area, obviously, and there's the as Uncle pointed out in the photos, the two local EA right there, directly below the land that are very significant. And so that watershed and everything relationship of the shoreline is what happens on land will always impact the shoreline. This is just a little bit of the illustration of how this fits in with the overall this Hamoa complex. It's just such a rich archaeological and historical cultural area. The story of the Kaulukai and the first fish ponds were right here in Honeyoo, or in Lake Oula, and many Heiau and other cultural sites all around this area. So it's part of this larger complex. Wanted to share this photo. This is from Ka'ileopele, looking down across this lens here, or essentially this is what we're talking about right over here. And this is the logo that you can see here. This was prior to the top of the wall got knocked off in the 1946 tsunami. So. I'm just showing the view in Palau Island, the logo that's through the logo, Hoku'ula and Kumaka. Not going to go into a whole lot of detail right now on the sort of future plans, but essentially all the work that we've been doing at Mokai and Makalai, being able to just carry those same kinds of programs into Honeyoo. A lot of this will be based on as well community outreach and really an ideal place for that kind of a shared community food production and long-term sustainability and sustenance to support our HANA community. And then just some of the voices of some of our Keiki and Haumana from HANA School. I won't read these, I'll just let you kind of look at them for a second if you want. Mahalo. Now we're happy to take your questions. Any more specifics or what time we have left? And I turn the mic.
Not much. Thank you for the presentation that took up most of the hour, but we need to open this item up for questions and whatnot from commissioners. Anybody there, any commissioners here to have any questions for the hour? Mr. Bond. Hello. Well, the light's gone off here. You sold it. Hello.
Others, the other side.
It's working.
Yeah, thank you very much for the presentation. Two quick. Hello?
Yeah.
I mean, I talk loud, so, okay. Two questions. One, if the commission's not able to have the full amount that you're asking for, priority, do you have some priorities on the action of our partners involved? And second, really quickly, what's the basis of the contested case hearing that's being proposed against the proposed development?
Thank you, Commissioner Buck. I think that the goal is that that's here. The goal is definitely to acquire all of the parcels, and I would say that, you know, we're looking to the essentially, we're looking to talking about the open space fund for matching funds, and we also have Hawaii Land Trust has expressed their commitment to helping us raise additional funds to build the whole project. So basically, we'll look for matching funds from other sources to be able to accomplish for whatever portion we get from the grant. Obviously, the more the better, but we understand there's a lot of great applications and there's never enough to go around. So, and then if Kirsha is on, I can let her with Native Hawaiian Legal Corporation is the representative for the Fishing Village Hui that is actually representing the community.
Yes, thank you, Sean.
Kirsha, I believe you're on the Zoom. If you want, go ahead.
Sorry, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, thank you. Don't make correct and the litigation and the Native Hawaiian Legal Corporation is in an appeal before Maui County based on the approval of the SMA minor permit for the subdivision application that was submitted. The appeal is based on the department.
Oh, no, where'd Dobby go?
Lost her.
I think it's coming back. Go to questions from commissioners to the applicants, and we'll come back to Kirsha to hear more about what she would like to discuss with us. So, I'm opening the floor to any questions from commissioners to the applicants. Howie?
I am not clear on the willing seller.
What exactly is it that you can purchase? That you know of?
What they have said is that they're willing to hear an offer for all of the parcels. What they would really like to do is be able to complete their subdivision and then sell the largest leftover parcel for conservation. But Hui doesn't really want that because that basically means all the other lots are developed. So in their willing seller letter, they know because they will hear offers. We'd love to be able to come to you and say, we have an agreed upon price and we have a purchase contract in place. We're not at that point, but we have a place where we have an open line of conversation with them and they're willing to hear offers. So it's still, and we're actually waiting for another appraisal to come through. So we have a basis for having a conversation about the value.
So you don't really know what the price is. You don't know what
Right, we don't know what the price is. The application is based on the market valuation that's listed on the county's website that as a starting place, but we don't know that. What will end up at, so whatever, when we get to that point of having a purchase contract, then we'll know we need to go raise this much additional funds to be able to.
What was the part about we're willing to sell parcel A? Where is parcel A?
It doesn't exist yet.
Oh, well, where is this? Never mind.
It's in the subdivision, so one thing Mary sort of touched on, but the planning department, planning director approved the subdivision, and this is they did a lot determination to create some new lots, and then they're taking those existing 8 lots and just redrawing the lines. So it doesn't have to go through the normal process, so it's a consolidation and re-subdivision. And it was approved by the planning director, but then the appeal was filed, and so now it's on hold pending that appeal. So the lot show.
back on?
Okay, so Kirsha can address the details of that.
Put up that slide that shows what it would be post.
Yeah, we can bring that.
PCRS.
I'm sorry, can the commissioners hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, and we also need to put the audio so that we can hear.
So,
Testing,
yeah.
testing.
If you need help finding the slide,
Oops.
here, I can show you. Slide you need.
Back to the one before that.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is lot 8 is the only leftover parcel. They want to create 6 parcels here that are 5 acres and 1 parcel here that's 5 acres. And then everything left over. And what they've said is they're willing to sell this one and this one, but they don't actually exist yet. The subdivision has not been completed. And so these lots don't actually exist yet. What we'd like to do is acquire the whole thing before it's subdivided. So that's the discussion we're having.
But it's not clear that they'll sell this.
They said they're willing to hear it all.
They'll hear enough. Are there any other questions or clarification from commissioners? Please.
Can you guys walk us through the cultural resources that are present on the parcels and then share what you see is the most vulnerable at this time, especially in the area of the Koki subdivision?
Talking here. Yeah, so aloha commissioners, my name is Kalada Liakuili. I'm here supporting Keauhali'i. I work for both two different organizations, Huliau Pa'a, which is the Kanaka-led hui, focused on stewardship of Wahikupuna, and then also Noho Papa Hawaii, which is an archaeological firm. Online too is also Kelly and Dominique, who maybe can fill in any other questions that you folks have after I speak. But to answer your question about some of the historic properties and or cultural sites within the particular parcel of Koki and Haneo'o, the really, I think, driving thing I can like see at this moment is that there's so many different culture sites, as one of the slides has shown. There are a lot of numbers and little highlights all around the maps. What has been registered in the state historic inventory of sites, there are two specific it's not in this map, but there are two specific sites within the larger Koki area, which is a heiau, I believe Lu'umai Kalani, as well as another site in the larger, I think, lot 8, right below one of the pu'us that are registered in the site. But what I'd like to talk about is that, oh yeah, right here. Lu'umai Kaua and its other site right here is within the parcel, but as you guys can see at registered sites. But as you guys can see, there's a whole plethora of there's a whole plethora of other sites all along and all amongst this area, which is known as the Hamua complex. Which the Hamua complex stretches from this Hamua Mokai all the way through this entire landscape. So there's so much more things that have not yet been registered in the system of Hawaii yet exists. For example, there's a pu'u in this lot called Pai Palani that we've been able to research and find through documentations and Hawaiian newspapers. And right at the foothill of that pu'u is another heiau. So many of these ohana here, as well as all the other ohana online, can attest to seeing way more things within this lot. So although this what you might be able to research and plug into the Historic Preservation Division and see what is registered does not even amount or is comparable to what is actually on the ground. So there are and myself, and wear my Noho Papa archaeological hat, has been able to transverse the Aina with one of the lineal descendants representing the Puhi Ohana. And just in walking along her their Aina, which is slap dab in the middle of the parcel at hand, there's different ahus, so heaps of pohaku, there's different alignments, there's rock stackings of different what could be heiau or religious ceremony things, just within the middle of that parcel. So as you walk up closer, Mauka, there's probably going to be more because you're closer to heiaus. If you walk more to Makai, there's even likely for more things because we've noticed there's dedicated local i'a, fish ponds, that have been dedicated to different akua, like Pu'ulukai, that Uncle Irish talked about. So there's so many different things that you guys can find culturally significant within just the parcel that Keauhali'i is trying to make sure that nothing else happens, because we see all along so much more development encroaching this way. But yeah, and then again, Kelly and Dominique can also speak more to that if there's more questions, but just a little bit for me to say.
Accurate to say that historically, there's lots of sites, but they've not yet been in.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact of how difficult it is for Ohana and community members to do those kind of things, jumping through hoops, with blah, 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 blah. But yeah, there is a lot of sites down there through archaeological perspective.
Thank you.
In regards to the property, there are also Kuleana lands, right? Can you speak towards what is, in regards to the threat of what is happening in regards to the subdivision and then happening with those Kuleana lands? Okay.
I can speak a little to it, but I think we're requesting if Kelly online can talk to it.
Aloha.
Kelly.
Can you folks hear me? I know there's been technical difficulties. Oh.
Kelly's fine.
Wait 1 second. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Testing.
Test it out real
Hi.
quick
Aloha.
for me. Someone from Zoom try to speak.
Aloha. Hi. Aloha.
Okay.
Testing. Oh, geez.
Hello.
All right.
Is it
We can hear
working?
you.
Oh, okay. Okay. Aloha nui kākou. Aloha commissioners. I was going to speak to some of this in my testimony, but I know we're asking questions first, and I'd probably also like if Krish is still on, to speak maybe to the larger. And the map behind me here shows all of the former kuleanas in this area, and you can see the outline of the purchase parcel area that Keauhali'i is trying to acquire. Within that the purchase area, if you can see, I don't know if you guys can even see me. No. Ay. Oh, okay. You can see the rectangle. Continue.
Can you make your speaker?
Yeah. Yeah. Who's speaking?
Oh, I am Kelly.
Just put up at the top.
Yeah.
Where it says, maybe you could just make it speaker.
Gotcha. Oh yeah, it's already on. Okay. All right, go ahead.
Okay, so sorry, I was trying to cheat here because I knew we weren't able to share additional figures other than the presentation. So I put one behind me as a way just so you guys can visually see the amount of former Kuleana landholders within and around the parcel. And my ohana, I'm a descendant of Daniel Puhi, which has that parcel right in the heart of the area that Keauhali'i is trying to acquire. And as far as I know, unfortunately, we are the only ohana that have been able to maintain our Kuleana parcel. What I have seen from research is that when Hana Ranch and Keola Hana Maui tried to quiet title our Kuleana parcel back in 1992, luckily, we caught the notification in the newspaper, and we took them to court to fight for our rights and maintain our Kuleana parcel. But unfortunately, many of these families either did not see the notification, and basically their lands were stolen. So a big initiative, I think, and a big benefit from Keauhali'i being able to reacquire this parcel is to provide that avenue for finding these Kuleana landholders and reconnecting them to their ancestral lands. And that's something Keauhali'i has a proven track record of doing, and there's so much potential to just to reconnect these ohanas that have been displaced, that have lost their kuleana from foreign landowners, and to be able to reconnect them to this really special place. And so I think along with my ohana, just being able to work closely with Keauhali'i to be able to access and steward our kuleana, and then reconnecting the remaining kuleana landholders to this aina once again. Was that the question? Mahalo.
And just to put a point on if the subdivision were to go through, it's basically taking all of those Kuleana parcels and just disappearing them and redrawing them someplace else that doesn't have a connection with that place where those parcels actually belong. So.
What the ranch partners did, they applied for what's called a separate lot determination. So they dug up all these, I think there was 8 altogether, 8 or probably whatever, separate parcels, and some of them were just eaten. And on the map that shows the parcels previous to the subdivision alignment, you could barely see some of them. You could see their numbers, which would be they're so small. So they took those and got separate lot determinations, succeeded in getting them separate lot determinations within the greater region, and then reconfigured it into this wonderful plan for a gigantic profit for them. Sorry. 15 years. Have it looks like you back. That's handsome. Yeah, Kirsha's back and Tesser and Grace, so perfect. Can we get?
Aloha, commissioners, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm going to attempt to testify without my video because I think that may use less memory and won't disconnect me, if that's okay. My name is Kirsha Durant. I'm the litigation director at Native Hawaiian Legal Corporation, and we are representing the Hamua Hani'o'o Fishing Village Hui in the appeal that is currently pending before the Department of Planning, Maui County Department of Planning, and the Maui Planning Commission. The question that I heard was, what was the basis of the appeal? And the basis of the appeal was the county's failure to consider impacts to traditional and customary practices, historic sites that are found within these collective parcels, impact to Kuleana parcels, and effectively it was done under the guise of treating the request as a subdivision minor permit, which essentially means there's no opportunity for community engagement, community input in the decision-making process. But one of the factors in order to treat a request like this as a subdivision minor permit is that given the foreseeable cumulative potential impacts of the project, that there is no potential impact to cultural resources, historic sites, etc. The community was very vocal in requesting a contested case hearing prior to the director's decision to grant the subdivision as a minor permit. There was a petition from the community, 430 people at least signed that petition asking to provide input because there was a failure of the county to also do a kapa'akai analysis, which I'm sure you commissioners understand is distinct from identifying historic sites. There's also community engagement to identify practices and resources in the area and how to mitigate those impacts. And while there has been contentions by the county and the landowner that this is just a paper re-subdivision, as you saw from the map. We're ultimately talking about at least 6 parcels along Hana Highway, fashioned in a way that the clear intention is for those to either be sold individually if they cannot be acquired by Keauhali'i, sold individually with intentions for development. There's also a parcel along the beach along Koki Beach. That parcel, if it moves forward and is not acquired, will impact access to the Kuleana parcel that Kelly was just speaking about. Their traditional historic access way is through that area where that beach parcel is located. So these are all impacts that weren't considered when this first step towards really development was approved. And also, as the commission is aware, development in any form disrupts the integrity of the Aina, which if there are historic sites can be impacted historic sites. But notwithstanding that, it disrupts the integrity of the Aina. And we're talking about an area where runoff will impact the delicate ecosystems of local in the nearby area, which are accessed by practitioners for subsistence living. And that also doesn't reconcile with the Hana Community Plan, which is really to preserve that those Hawaiian lifestyles, lifeways. So the appeal is really based on all of those things. This is a critical time for them to bring this request, because this is really a precursor to development in this area and ultimately fundamentally altering the character of this community, this space. And that's in addition to all of the things that have already been shared by those who have testified. So I'm happy to answer any other questions, but I hope that's responsive to what was asked.
Commissioner Robinson, go ahead.
So super appreciate having Kirsha on this to provide some information on that. And my follow-up question is really kind of the mechanics of all of this. If we play out scenarios, like let's imagine that we go through this process and just for the hypothetical of it, that we award you the funds and Maui gives you the funds. And so Ke'auhali'i has funds in principle. What then happens, because I'm assuming this is all going to be a blemish on title for us for now. So would it be like contested case hearing gets withdrawn, subdivision application gets withdrawn? How does it actually play out so that we could consummate this transaction?
Mahalo for that question, Commissioner Robinson. The plan, at least the discussions at this point with Ranch Partners attorney, is that if there is an agreement, part of the agreement for purchase contract would be the withdrawal of the appeal of the appeal of the subdivision approval. Now, that's not to say that we couldn't actually move forward with the subdivision as it is right now and still have those parcels acquired. I think that's still consistent with Ke'auhali'i's intention and mission in acquiring all the parcels. But obviously that can impact the way that they view the value of those parcels. So if the appeal was successful and the subdivision was not approved, as you saw from the first plat map that was provided, there's the way that the land is distributed obviously is not as conducive for resale for purposes of development. So that's why this time period is really critical. I know from speaking to their attorney, the possibility of a lengthy litigation through this process, which is needed to address the failure of the county to consider these things. But I think that provides a mechanism for negotiation with the landowner. And that's why they did the willing to sell letter, where they were willing to consider an offer to purchase all of the parcels, even though I know they shared in the letter that, their primary focus was really the larger parcel, but they're still willing to entertain it. And that's why I said this is a critical time for their request to the Legacy Lands Commission.
And just to follow up on that follow-up, so you believe that if funding were awarded, that then they would negotiate in good faith and not kind of use this to have the appeal dropped and then proceed with the subdivision anyway, and then somehow renege on the purchase contract? I just want to make sure we don't get into a situation down the road, because we all know what sellers are capable of doing, but we could structure that in a way so that once they're in, they're in.
Yes, I understand that concern. That is certainly a concern of mine as their counsel moving forward with the appeal. So if there was any withdrawal of the appeal, that would be with the understanding that there is going to be an acquisition of these parcels. Candidly, I, can't represent, obviously, given Keauhali'i's ongoing efforts to secure funding through Legacy Lands and perhaps other funders, as I think they shared earlier. I can't represent to this commission that they will be able to acquire all of the parcels or that the seller will be willing to sell all of it. But the support of Legacy Lands will certainly make that possibility more feasible for them. And we would not enter into any purchase agreement that results in a withdrawal unless that is pa'a and clear.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments from commissioners? Okay, we received, it might be on. We received quite a bit of written testimony. Okay, we will certainly look at those. I don't know if some of you submitted written testimony also hope to testify orally. The presentation went way over the allotted. In fairness to other applicants, we do need to move on, but if there are testifiers and the public who wish to testify now briefly, we'll see. Looks like Kelly's hand is up. Maybe that's the leftover from previously, I'm not sure. Okay, the Mavis Olivera site has a hand up. I see lots of them. Okay, please keep your comments brief. We're running way behind here. So I'll call on, it's listed on our screen as Mavis Olivera Medeiros.
Already? You can sit over there. Hi, aloha. We're starting off with Mapuana Kalaniopio Cook.
Thank you. Aloha mai kako. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. My name is Mapuana Kalaniopio Cook, and I am lifelong resident of Hana. Kama'aina no ho'i. My family is Kalaniopio, Koko, Kihana, and the list goes on. But I really wanted to testify in full support of the agenda item B12, Keauhali'i Hani O'o Aina. I sent it a testimony last night, and so I'm just gonna read through my testimony. Aloha, in-law commissioners of the Legacy Land Conservation Program. I write from Hana, from a place of deep connection to Aina and community, in strong support of the application by Keauhali'i for Legacy Land Conservation Program, funding for the purchase of the TMKs that are listed within the Hani O'o Ahupua'a. For those of us who were raised here, who continue to live in Malama Aina in East Maui, this land is not an abstract parcel on a map. It is part of a living landscape that feeds our watershed, holds the stories of our kupuna, and sustains cultural practices that are still carried forward today. The protection of this Aina is inseparable from our responsibility to care for one another and for the generations to come. This place carries natural, cultural, historical, and spiritual significance. It also carries ivikupuna, which must be treated with the utmost respect. As people of this area, we understand that our kuleana to Malama Aina is also a kuleana to Malama Ina ivikupuna. These are not resources to be mitigated or relocated, but ancestors to be honored and protected in place as they have been for generations. The proposed acquisition is strongly supported within the Hana community because it reflects values we live by every day. Protecting this land will help safeguard watershed health, native ecosystems, and culturally significant landscapes. It will prevent inappropriate development and the gradual loss of open space that so many rural communities have already experienced. Most importantly, it will allow this Aina to remain intact, cared for, and accessible in ways that respect both its limits and its significance. For a place like Hana, where development pressures often come from outside and decisions are made far from the land itself, this project represents a rare and meaningful opportunity to keep stewardship rooted in community. It honors Kuleana Aina, supports long-term conservation, and ensures that the integrity of the surrounding landscape is not compromised for short-term gain. We respectfully urge the commissioners to support this application as an investment, not only in land conservation, but in living culture, community resilience, and the continued ability of Hana families to remain connected to the Aina that has sustained us for generations. Mahalo nui loa for your time, your service, and your thoughtful consideration of this important effort. Mahalo.
Thank you. I repeat, if you submitted written testimony, please do not just read your written testimony. We only need to have it once, and we don't have time for multiple presentations of the same testimony. I see a hand raised from Kamale Lin. Go ahead, please.
We have 5 people waiting to testify at our office, so if we can go after Kamale, that would be great.
Okay, well, why don't you go ahead now? Is this a repeat of written testimony?
I didn't send in written, no.
No. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Aloha Kakahiaka, LLCP commissioners. It's nice to see some familiar faces. Aloha. My name is Mavis Oliveira Medeiros, and I'm a lineal descendant and resident of Haneo'o. My ohana is from the Ho'opai Kalawao Kahanaole line, which goes back to Pi'ilani, Alapai, Keohokalole, and beyond. I've lived in Haneo'o for over 45 years, and I'm here to testify in strong support of item B12 and also B13 if he's still on. I'm here representing the Haneo'o, part of the Haneo'o Hamoa Fishing Village Hui, who have been working hard towards this effort. Let me first say that our Verizon lines have been down for 3 days. So we had the hardest time last night trying to get testifiers to come out today. And so ikalamai if we don't have as many as we wanted to. But I think John will be happy. Yeah, John. and We also heard that the line was down in Mokuokeawe. So if you folks are from Mokuokeawe, you might know, you might have had the same problems. Among some of the reasons that we're here to strongly support Agenda B12 is to preserve Hanio'o, its rich history, culture, and because much of the old Hawaiian lifestyle still exists today and rely on this aina to subsist, which I'll explain a little bit later. From Mauka of Hanio'o, there's a chant called Malie Maui o Kaihu Akala. It is said that when this mauna is clear, the whole Maui is clear. Kaivio Pele is our pu'u, which where Ku'ula the fish god stood to kilo the fish in the first fish pond ever built almost 2,000 years ago at Leho'ula. On this hill are several grave sites, a tomb, and heiau also. This is where Ku'ula-san Ai killed the puhi, which was stealing all the fish from their fish pond. You can still see the indentations in the rocks where he smashed the puhi. If you're ever in Hana, we'll come show it to you guys. You can. Then they went on to build the Hoku'ula Loko'i'a and Kumaka Loko'i'a. Upon its disrepair, Kamehameha himself came and repaired the walls with 1,000 men. He also built 2 heiau, one of them near Hoku'ula Loko'i'a, and the other one above that on this Hanio'o Aina. Outside of Kumaka is a famous surf called Puhele. It is said that the chiefs and their children loved coming here to play in this surf and bask in Hanio'o's delights. There were surfing contests, and being the easternmost part of Maui, several Hawaiian groups still come here today and welcome the sun in with E Ala'e and jump into the healing waters. Next to Hanio'o, Hamoa has its own stories, which other people went over. So I just will mention the triplex heiaus of Hale'olono, Kaluanui, and Pakiokio, which is really important to us because it sits right next to this property trying to purchase. So basically, people were so content living here. It was truly an ahupua'a system with everything they needed to live all in one spot. So much so that many chose to uahala right here. There's burials on almost every other piece of aina here, and I could show it all to you guys one day. Hanio'o Ahupua'a Aina has 2 heiau, but Kalena went over this, so I will skip that. But there was an old rancher who told us that at one of the heiau, there used to be a big entrance at the bottom, and they don't know what was in there because the ranch, when the ranch bought it, they covered it up. But that is very, very sacred to me because they used to put canoes in these big entrances. And then there's a couple of kupuna who are no longer with us that told us stories about a puka near the Kaholopo'o Bridge and River where they could go fishing and catch saltwater fish because the lava tube came all the way up that far. That makes sense to us because Kiha Wahine, who was known to travel between Hoku'ula, Kumaka, and Moku'ula, the one in Lahaina, in record time. They believe it was through a lava tube. Hanio'o is known for its abundance of fish, and until today, many people, families from East Maui, still come here to fish to subsist. This is why the underground springs from Mauka are so important to keep intact. These springs are the lifeline not only for the Loko'i'a, but for all the fishing grounds in Hanio'o and Hamoa Fishing Village. If these underground springs are damaged from Mauka, the whole ecology of Makai will change, and the fish, limo, lobster, uhu, moi, ama, and inui manini, a hole, he'e, a ama crab, that so many rely on, will be ruined or severely damaged. Me, my ohana, and many ohana from Hana who signed our petition but couldn't be here today strongly support this application and pray that you do too. Mahalo. Next. We have Sam Akoy next.
Aloha, Commissioners. Sam McCoy here. It's gonna be real short. Because to feel the Aina, you guys gotta come on Aina to feel the Aina. The people is in stress. You know, I am full support with B1, 2. I'm a board member with Cal Halil from the beginning. Did a lot of strategic resource management plans. I mean, we did marvelous things for the community. And the community in whole, I'm speaking. The Hawaiian community and the community in whole. I'm also in support with B13 because that is the Ahupua system. It starts from the mountain to the ocean. Oh, Hana is a breadbasket. I mean, there's no place in the world like Hana. And to lock down, to help, you know, I'm asking the commissioners today to help us to lock this Aina down because it was once stolen before and it needs to be put in the right hands again. And we already know the stewards of the land that you guys have supported, Cal Halil, land for the people. We're looking for engagement. We're looking for transparency. Thank you all for this kuka with you folks, and may you all be blessed. Thank you. Mahalo.
Almost done.
All right, next we have Earl Madaris.
Aloha, my name is Earl Madaris, and I'm from Haneo. I lived there most of my life, and it hurts to see way from there and what is happening there. I mean, I can go back. I know when it was dirt road. I knew when no had electricity. I was brought up in that era, during that time, and my father was a fisherman, a full-on Hawaiian fisherman. We done that beach every day of the week. I was brought up eating fish and koi and the rest of the good stuff. But to see what is happening to the land, it hurt, yeah. It hurt real plenty. And Keauli, look at the mission statement. I back them up all the way. We trying to hold together this community. Like Sam said, Hana is special, man. I mean, everybody eat fish. All the local people, they all eat fish, and everybody eat fish from that area. All of that area in from Hamor, from Makalai, all where Irish went through, all that area, people eat the fish from there, and we still give one another planet family. Everybody related to one another. I don't care who you are. If you get Hawaiian, you related, whether through marriage or through bloodline, you related. So, please, support Keauli on this mission, yeah. And I think that the biggest part is all the sacred sites. We're fighting for everything, yeah. The Hawaiians fighting now. Believe it or not, man. They're fighting because, when I was brought up with my father like that, it was a different time. Yeah. I mean, I used to go with my father all the Hawaiian houses. He go Kaikaua, Kainas, or wherever, all Hawaiian they talk. Yeah. I old enough to know that. And I was fortunate enough to grow up with Planet Kupunas because my father was older. Yeah. Yeah, I'm the youngest. I 70 now. And when my father had me, he was 42 years old. So we had a big age difference. So I would go with the Kupunas. I'm not going on and on, but please make a good decision on this issue. Thank you very much. Aloha.
So now we have Saul Church. Go ahead, Saul.
B12 and 13 is Leo.
Aloha again. Mahalo for your patience, your time, your dedication today. I'm here to testify on behalf of B12, Agenda B12. I believe like all these culturally significant areas, like everybody's been talking about, need to be figured out how we can obtain these areas to put them into conservation, into like a true conservation mindset where the people of these areas that are lineal descendants actually manage these areas like we have been for thousands of years. That area specifically, if we look at how deeply rooted it is in our history. My daughter, she attended Punana Leo in Paia. She would come home and she would tell me all the stories about these places. So having the ability to take her to a place that she learned about in a school, learning about her culture, but actually getting a chance to see it. Not only do our children get to hear about it and learn about the mo'olelos about these areas, but they get to actually physically be there and feel it. Those are two different things. And it, for me, and I know for a lot of people, that's more important than just learning about it, is actually being able to live it. And so that Ahupua'a, that area down there near Hane'o'o, where Pele left her bones behind and became a god, where Maui was born, where the first fish ponds in all of Polynesia are. Whatever is going to happen to that area, development-wise, will directly impact those spaces culturally. And what I'd like to say right now is that as the land is developed and the history is erased, so do the people. We are genetically tied to these lands. And so as the land dies and as the sea dies, the people, we die with it. And what is Hawaii without Kanaka? What will it be? There will be nothing. The cultural significance outweighs the paper and outweighs the money. So if there's any way we can put together the funding to like save these areas, especially for us here in Hana, it feels like the heart. It's a condensed area of so many cultural significant facts throughout our history. So, but yeah, I am here asking the board to please like hear the people. The younger generations are stepping forward. They have been to take their kuleana, and our kuleana is here to stand together as a wall, just like that fish pond is a wall, so that we can protect what was left over by our kupuna in consciousness for our future generations. So that's my testimony for today. I really appreciate your time. Thank you for everything you do. It's good to see some familiar faces there. But yeah, you guys have a wonderful day. Aloha.
Thank you, guys. Mahalo nui. Aloha.
Well, thank you. Okay, I recognize Kamale Lind, who has testimony on B2.
Aloha mai kako, commissioners. My name is Kamali Lind, and I'm speaking as a lineal descendant in strong support of Keauhali'i's legacy land application to acquire Aina in the Ahupua'a of Hane'o'o. This parcel is part of a larger cultural landscape that has nourished generations and generations of East Maui families, physically, spiritually, and culturally. It holds iwi kupuna, traditional place names, and native ecosystems that remain extremely vital to our identity and cultural practices. Equally important, this land exists within a broader network of kuleana parcels that continue to shape how Ohana access, malama, and remain connected to this Aina. Protecting larger surrounding parcels help safeguard the integrity of the kuleana lands, which will prevent isolation, loss of access, and pressure that can undermine the rights and responsibilities of the kuleana ohana. Across East Maui, long-held lands are being sold, subdivided, and lost. This acquisition is an opportunity to change that pattern and to ensure that that Hane'o'o is protected and cared for by those with generational ties and deep kuleana to this Aina. Keauhali'i has consistently shown that they're capable and trustworthy Ho'aina or stewards. Through their work protecting coastal lands in Hana, they've demonstrated a sustained commitment to Malama Aina, cultural access, and responsible Aina management. Their approach reflects both ancestral connection and the organizational capacity required for the long-term stewardship this Aina requires. This is exactly the kind of project that the Legacy Land Conservation Program was created to support. I respectfully urge you all to approve the funding for this important acquisition and help protect a vital piece of Maui Hikina's living landscape for our keiki and generations to come. Mahalo nui for your time and consideration to protect our cultural lifeways of East Maui. Mahalo.
Mahalo. Thank you for your testimony.
Yes.
Yeah, he's on the next one. Leo Caris, were you planning to testify on B1 too?
Yes, sir. Aloha, John. Aloha, Mike Kako. If I may, I would just share a short 15-second testimony of support, if allowed. If not, that's okay.
Please go ahead.
Mahalo. Leo Kairis here. I am one of the upcoming applicants, but I just wanted to quickly express my deep gratitude to Ke'ao'ali'i and its organization and team, in everyone involved in putting this together. I am a lineal descendant of Hoku'ula Fish Pond, and I know I believe my grandma would be very grateful that all of these lands, Mauka of the fish pond, would be destined for preservation in this capacity. And so with that said, I just ask that you folks all carefully continue to consider the application on merit and what it can perpetuate in the name of Julia Alapa'i Kauva'a, who was the original and would bring a legacy to her name and her family as a granddaughter of Chief Alapa'i Nui of the Big Island. So mahalo for this chance to speak. Mahalo.
Mahalo, Leo. Thank you for that. I'm not seeing any other hands raised on the Zoom. Are there any other testifiers in the room? Okay, with that, Dave, I propose that we recess now for a late lunch, a short late lunch. What are our options?
For lunch or?
For lunch.
Or, well, it said after.
I can take this here if I get a bathroom break.
Well, if Leo is still on, that application is up next. I don't know how long it might take. It might be brief, or we can break now and come back. I understand there's a cafe within the facility here. I don't know if it's open or not. But otherwise there are some places nearby.
Ask Leo if he's ready to go and how long it's gonna take.
Yes, sir. Mahalo. Leo. I'm trying to turn on my camera. Let's see here. My camera can't turn on. If anyone can hear me, my presentation today would be less than 5 minutes, just as a courtesy to the commission. And furthermore, if it goes too long, I think all of you might be spending the night in Hane'o'o. So I might, I'll just defer to the wishes of the commission if you'd like me to speak now briefly or wait till after lunch. But
5 minutes. If you got 5 minutes, Leo, go for it.
okay. I cannot turn on, I'm clicking my camera, it doesn't turn on, but forgive me for my kids' animal pictures. I would say that's me on my best day, how I look for now. Just I'll speak through my mic if that's okay. Just a couple of a quick items. As you see before you, I am requesting to allow my application, our application, to stand as it is in front of the commission to process as you wish. It's for the 1.43 acres in Hane'o'o for $800,000. And quickly, the main points I wanted to add in it, talk about and speak as and provide a request to you folks is there's a couple items that came to my attention. The first one was there a question just about our permanent and the relationship between Ke'eo is related, and I wanted to share. I was on the phone this morning with the IRS for about 2 hours waiting. I finally was able to speak to them, and yes, they are issuing what's called a affirmation letter to us that will show that Ke'eo Hawaii and Umu'oke'ea, will be on the same determination letter. So that came my way. I wanted to point that out to all of you folks, and I would request if that can be as a condition put for consideration down the road, because that's going to take 30 days. The second item is I would request if there's a condition for consideration to fill the vacancies that have been brought to my attention. Again, we have some vacancies on the organization, and if that could be considered, go through your process. My last item I wanted to share was looking at a set of match funding for this particular grant. One was working on the landowner has had a major personal loss, and we didn't, out of respect, the landowner had a family loss, and we've been just respectful in approaching about business matters around this parcel. The parcel is listed for sale. So just to reiterate, there is an interest to sell the property, and we're looking at a blend of matching fund options. One is through a actual we received a pre-qualification for a commercial loan. We wanted to ask if that would be considered as a bridge loan. The other portion we have not fully vetted with the owner is how much they would be willing to donate as part of the match funding right now. And we just point that out because of that loss in the family. It's just been a sensitive and respectful thing on our part. So I wanted to stop there. If there's any questions, I'm not going to go too much into the application. I just wanted to allow that to stand as it is this year for this application. So I welcome any questions, comments you folks have for me.
Any questions for Mr. Kairos from commissioners? Seeing none, any questions or testimony from the public on this item B3? Okay. Okay, that concludes item B3 then. let's see, we have written testimony in support, I believe, for this that we have all received, so we will definitely look at the written testimony that has been submitted. I suggest, how long do you want for lunch? I'll probably skip it unless the cafe's open.
30 minutes. Can we verify whether can we adjourn and then start our lunch?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I suggest we adjourn until 2:15.
Motion to recess.
Second.